Hello, everyone, and welcome to my messy office. This is Marcel Gagne, and this is Cooking with Linux. And today we're going to get virtual. I'm going to show you how to install machines on your current desktop without having to blow away your current desktop. I'll show you how you can run as many Linux distributions as you want, disk space and resources permitting, of course, without having to, start from scratch each time. So, before we do that, because this is Cooking with Linux, I want to tell you about today's wine, which is actually kind of cool. Let's see, it's called Guilty Men, and it's from a Niagara winery. In fact, it's Malivoire wines in, I like that, Malivoire. I can actually say that, in a French way. Wines in Niagara, and on the front here it says, you got to read this, it says, "We are all guilty. We spend our lives making amends for our mistakes. If you think this is true, you have the key to divine redemption in your hands." Clever advertising, because in my hand the key to divine redemption apparently is wine, and I don't really have a lot of trouble with that, right? Okay, I just want to say crisp, dry, extremely citrusy. There's some pear in there, but to me, lemon, lots and lots of lemon. Nice wine, $14.95 at the LCBO if you want to go looking for it, but there you go. Right, virtual machines. All right, mes amis, find yourself a seat in the restaurant at the tables, and we'll get on with this, shall we? See you in a couple minutes. Oh, I do love my job. All right, to work. All right, then, let's get virtual, shall we? All right. Now, before I get into too much detail here, first of all, I'm going to start my virtual machine manager. But before I get into huge amounts of detail, something I want you to do, and it's this, okay? If you're watching this on a teeny tiny screen on YouTube or something, make sure you go to full screen, because I'm doing this on a 17-inch monitor. Well, actually, it's not on a monitor, but a 17-inch screen, namely my notebook, and it's an Intel Core i5-6200U processor, and it's got an NVIDIA card. It's got a pretty, it's got good specs basically, but it should look nice. It should be a nice looking screen. So if you can't see it very well, go full screen, baby. Go full screen. All right. Let's get virtual. All right. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go in here. We're going to say new virtual machine. Now, this is the virtual machine manager. Before I get too crazy here, let me just point out that I do cover a lot of Linux distributions when I'm doing Cooking with Linux or when I'm doing the radio show or whatever. And I don't want to blow away my notebook every single time or my computer every single time. So what I do is I use the virtual machine manager to install a distribution. So let's do one of those right now, shall we? New virtual machine. So I'm going to say that I've got a local install, an ISO image, and in fact I do. If I drop down up here and I do an ls, you'll notice that I've got the OpenMandriva 3.0 Plasma version ready to go. Okay, so that's the one that we're going to install today. So I'm going to say forward, and I'm going to say use ISO image, and I'm going to say browse, and I'm going to say downloads directory, and there it is. There's my ISO. Incidentally, that's the same image that you would burn to a CD or a DVD nowadays, of course, to a DVD to boot from to then install onto your system if that's what you wanted to do. So I'm going to say that's cool. That's what I want. So choose volume. That's the one that I want. And I'm going to say go forward. Automatically detect the operating system. We could do that, or we could say, hey, it's a Linux system, and in here we've got all sorts of different distributions. So we could pick and choose. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say show all options. Let's see, just for fun here, if they got lots of Ubuntus, don't we? All right, let's just scroll down here. I'm going to let the system figure it out on its own. But there you go, Mandrake Linux. Mandriva Linux. Okay, it's Mandriva. OpenMandriva. Is there an OpenMandriva? I see no OpenMandriva. So you know what? We're just going to let the system figure it out on its own, okay? All right, forward. All right, I've got lots of memory on this system. In fact, I've got 12 gigabytes of RAM on this system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, change this to, let's make it 2048, shall we? 2048, I'll just leave it with one CPU for now. And we're going to create a 20 gig disk. Ready, forward. And we're going to call this one OpenMandriva. This can be anything. I mean, if you wanted to call your machine, I don't know, Gus, or Sandy. You can call it whatever you like, okay? This is just a name that you're going to be able to recognize it by, all right? All right. Finish. Let's do this. The virtual machine is now being created. Allocation of disk space, retrieval, blah, blah, blah. And check this out, my friends. Now, the machine is still down here. We can actually see how much, of this is taking up on the system. But if I wanted to, let's go directly to install. So I'm going to go down here, install Mandriva, and I could run it in live mode if I wanted to, just like I would. You have to remember that this is like a real machine. Now, I'm kind of stuck here, so I'm going to go Control-Alt, and we're going to... I don't really want to go full screen on this because I don't know how this is going to affect my recording. So what I'm going to do is... I'm going to stretch this little thing out as far as I can so that you can see as much of the screen as possible. There we go. So now, in the background, we've still got our virtual machine manager is running, and we've got what looks for all the world like a real honest-to-goodness machine running in the background. So I'm going to go through the steps next. I'm going to say region. As it turns out, I'm in America, or in this case, North America, because I'm actually in Toronto. So, I'm not like, I'm not like in the United States kind of America. I'm in Canada of North America. So there we go. So just for the fun of it, because I'm near Toronto. There we go. Toronto. There it is. Toronto. Next. Keyboard type. That's great. I'm going to leave it exactly the way it is. Now over here, I'm going to say erase the disk. I want this thing to take everything. Now I want you to consider this for a second. Don't be afraid. When we're talking about erasing the disk, we're talking about erasing the virtual disk under the virtual machine manager. This is not going to destroy your system, okay? All right? Feeling better? Yeah, I feel much better too. All right, so let's create. What's your name? Well, that would be your name. I'm just going to write for my username. I'm going to go Marcel. And what do we call this PC? Let's call it... OpenMandriva, it could be whatever you like. I mean, again, you could call it, Toto or Dorothy or Tin Man or whatever it is you want to call this thing. So choose a password to keep your account safe. All right, we're going to make sure that that this is a really secure password, okay? And it's going to be something that I just don't tell you because it would be use the same password for the administrator account. I'm just going to say go for it at this point, okay? All right, log in automatically without asking for a password. Now, I actually want to go for the login screen, so let's do the login screen. All right, OpenMandriva LX, and off it goes. We are installing this thing. Summary, and install now. I know we can't make any changes, but we're going to do it. All right, creating new ext4 partition. It's happening. It's the real deal at this point. So let's go over here and take a look. There in the graph, we can also see I want to see the host CPU. All right, so the first column here, the CPU usage, is my actual desktop. And this is the host desktop. Sorry, this is the host desktop. This is the CPU of the actual machine that I'm booting. So you can see it's pretty busy over here, but it's not taking up my entire system over under the host CPU here. You see that? All righty then. Okay, so it is installing. Now, I'm really kind of curious to see how long this is actually going to take here. But let's take a look at the little clock down in the corner. It says 2:46 at the moment. Just for the record, again, I'm running this on an Acer notebook. It's an E5774G. It's an E17. It has an NVIDIA GeForce 940X graphics card with 2 gigs of dedicated VRAM, so it's an accelerated video card. There is a 1 terabyte drive in this thing, and it also has 12 gigabytes of internal DDR RAM in addition to that i5 6200U Intel processor. So it's a reasonably punchy machine. It's not the fastest machine in the entire universe. You gamers out there running the high-end i7, super duper computers are going to laugh at me. But hey, this is my day-to-day desktop, okay? This is what I'm running on. So all right, let's take a look at that clock, 2:46 p.m. We're going to let this thing happen. We'll go back and visit it again in the next few minutes, okay? Oh, 2:47, ooh, very exciting. We're still at 25%. Let's see how long this actually takes. Since this is Cooking with Linux, please go out, grab yourself a glass of wine, enjoy, relax, chill, come back. I'll see you in a couple minutes. All right, let's just drop back in for a second here. I know you're still sipping your wine, but we're just going to see how things are going. Now, let me see. It's 2:52, and we're at 81%. Things are going along swimmingly. 88% running bootloader operation. This is going to be done before you can say Fitzwiggle something or other. I always tell my kids that one. My 9-year-old son looks at me like there's something seriously wrong with me. You know, faster than you can say Fitzwiggle bum. And he looks at me and he goes, Fitzwiggle bum. Like it's an easy thing to say. I dare you guys out there to say Fitzwiggle bum really fast and see if you can pull that one off. All right. Anyway. Okay, all right, so it's probably easier than that. Anyway, let's just move on, shall we? Running unmount operation. We're all done. Look at that, 2:53 p.m. And we are all done. So let's say restart now, quit, and we're just going to watch this thing disappear. There it goes. There it goes, unmounted. And view your connection to hypervisor, and there we go. The hypervisor is starting. So I'm going to say OpenMandriva, and this is the normal boot screen, and away it goes. So now we are firing up our brand new OpenMandriva machine, and there's the CPU. There's the host CPU usage curve sitting over there. If you want to, if you're all excited about looking at that sort of thing. And here we go into first time boot on our OpenMandriva. And again, this is a fantastic way, a fantastic way to try out a new Linux operating system without having to blow away your machine. You can have like as many of these things running as you want. Okay, so I'm going to put in my password here, my super secret, incredibly difficult to remember password that I'm not telling anybody about. All right, there we go, first boot, and it's coming up nicely. It's coming up nicely. It's coming up beautifully. I'm so very thrilled and happy with this. There we go. Our first boot on our new OpenMandriva machine. There you have. OM welcome. And this is going to be like if you were starting. Whoa! Whoa, I don't know if you can hear that or it's just me. Yikes. Yikes. Wow, the volume is up really, really loud. I don't know if you could hear that. I'll check the recording later and see if you can hear it. But wow, that just blew my eardrums out. Holy cow. All right, I don't need to see this unwelcome each time. But, if you want to, we'll not initialize with the system. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's fine. I don't need to see it next time. So there you go. We've got our brand new desktop, our OpenMandriva desktop, and you are ready to experience and try out and work with a brand new system. And let's check this thing out. It's actually pretty good. Look at that. I mean, we've got really, really good performance. Granted, like I said, the machine is pretty good, but our desktop is basically ready to roll and to have fun with. And we can do, anything on this thing that we could do with another machine. There it is. That's how we do a virtual machine in Linux and using the virtual machine manager. It's really not terribly complicated. Obviously, you need to have a machine that's got the type of processor that can actually allow you to install a virtual machine. But pretty much any modern desktop is going to be able to do that sort of thing. All right. So if you've got not modern desktop, rather, I should say modern hardware. If you've got a relatively recent, relatively modern, relatively punchy, whether it's a desktop or a notebook or something, and I'm not talking about a Chromebook here, you can run virtual machines under there. And I'll just show you one other thing that's really, really cool here. I could stop this thing right where it is, okay? But I could shut down, I can reboot it, I can go through here, or I can do this, save. And I can actually save the virtual machine to disk right where it is. So it's actually saving an image of where the virtual machine is at this moment. Obviously, this is going to take disk space and some resources or whatever. But let's say saving domain to disk. And when I reboot this thing, I can, if I want, boot it from that. And if I had multiple saves, I could boot it from there and just restore the machine from its current state. And I'll do that right now. And we go right back to where the machine was. And as you can see, the menu that we were looking at, the graphical menu, the graphics application menu, is open exactly where we left it. So that's another neat thing that we can do under the Virtual Machine Manager. You can actually leave the desktop in a particular state exactly where it is and go right back to it exactly as it is. It's a neat thing. It's cool. It's fun. So there you go. Virtual Machine Manager. And that's it for me. So if you like what I'm doing here and you'd like to see more of this, you know how this works. Subscribe in YouTube. Tell me that you like it. Leave comments. Tell your friends about it. Share it with other Linux user groups, or other Linux enthusiasts. And And if you like them, I'll keep making them. In the meantime, à votre santé et bon appétit. This is Marcel Gagne signing off.